Welcome back. We're going to go ahead and start adding materials to the walls of this BSP object. And as we go through all of the lessons, keep in mind that there have been changes and UDK does change here and there as we go forward. Just consider that. So if you see some things I get to and you don't have them, please refer to the user manual for UDK. Right now, we're going to go ahead and add materials to the wall. So we're going to go in our content browser. Again, we have unlit selected, which is Alt-3, shortcut for adding an unlit. So if we go into lit, that means there are no lights in here. So we have absolutely no lights. We just have fog. We'll talk about that later. Let's click on unlit. And so we can see our materials. So we're going to go into Content Browser. You can do Control-Shift-F. Let's try that. Control-Shift-F. We'll bring up the Content Browser. We're going to click on, under Object Type, we're going to click on Materials. Okay. This will show all the materials, and there's quite a few. Now, if you don't have materials or don't have static meshes or any of this, any of the content, what you're going to probably have to do is reinstall UDK. When you're installing UDK, it might ask you to do advanced settings, and if you did that, and it asked you to add all content and you didn't checkmark that, it might have been an accident on your part, then you won't get any of this stuff. Also, maybe through the regular or default settings, the content is not checkmarked. So make sure you load all content, everything, and most of the time it will load. You might have to reinstall UDK if you don't see the materials. Now, another thing you have to understand is that if you click on Engine, you won't get the same materials as if you were to click UDK Game. So make sure these things are all selected. So what you want to do is click on UDK Game, make sure it's highlighted, click on Materials, Object Type, and make sure nothing is written up here. The minute you actually do a search for something, like ground or tile or grass, it'll just show those pieces up. If you want to show all of it, click on Materials, make sure nothing is in the search bar, and you will get all of the materials. Now you can go in here and search. Now in the lesson, in the exercise 1 worksheet, I want you guys to find something that is more based on science fiction. So our style will be science fiction, so try to find something more science fiction. Okay? So while we do the walls, let's go ahead and type in walls, see what comes up. There we go. So we have walls, and the one I'm going to choose today is going to be this one right here. So I'm going to click on this, and all I have to do is click on it and move it over and onto the wall. Okay. Now, if you don't like that, you can click on another material and give it a shot, give it a try. So I'm going to click on this, move this up a little bit, maybe use this one. Okay, so you got something like that. So it's really nice. You can just drag and drop. Okay, you can try things out, see how they look by dragging and dropping, get an idea what they do. And sometimes you may get stuck. Sometimes you will drag and drop something and you can't delete it. So that's why before you start actually messing with the materials and stuff, you save your entire scene out. So before you start adding materials. So do that now, and if you mess something up, you won't have to go back from building it from scratch or deleting walls or BSPs. You can now go back to the original. So save often. That's about the best thing I can tell you to do is to save often. And here, I'm going to try that wall there. Okay, so I've got my wall. that I want to use for this room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, and sometimes basically to get attributes for something you can right click on it. So you can do surface properties. Okay, so I'll do that again. So you right click on it and do surface properties or F5. So let's do F5. Okay, so find F5 and notice it brings up surface properties. Alright, so here's some things you need to think about. U, we can do U, which goes basically right or left, and V is up and down. Okay, so this basically steps 1 unit sideways. So you can see that it goes down. So I can click on 4 and it'll go faster. Okay, 16 will go faster. So that's up and down. U is sideways, side to side. So that's the repeat. So you can mess with the repeat. We've got rotation, of course. You can rotate something. Do Control Z to go back, or you can rotate all the way around again. Okay. So if you like something that's up and down, that will work. Okay. We've got one that goes 90 degrees. Okay. And then we've got a custom one that you can type in the amount of rotation you want to get a little more perfect in the rotational value. Okay, got flip, U, and V. I don't use those, but if you need to, it'll flip the whole design over. So let's say you have a material that's backwards or reversed. You can flip the U or V to get that looking right. We've got scaling. Okay, we've got custom scaling, simple scaling. So we've got go into default, and we can type in 0.5 and 0.5 and apply. You have to click apply to apply it. Notice that now we're getting something that looks a little more interesting. So I'm going to do 0.25 and 0.25 and apply. So now all I have to do is move that up and down. So I'm going to move that to where it just the bottom, okay, just about hits the floor. So I went too far. So I'm going to go quickly down again and then go one at a time, so I can just make sure the bottom is just hitting the floor. Like that. There we go. So it looks pretty nice. I like that. So now we've got one of the walls in here finished. Okay. And so we've got all that done. Okay. Alright, so alright. So I'm going to copy and paste that wall. As you can see, I'm doing a copy and paste. So I'm going to paste. There we go. And go around, since I've already got one done, and paste. So you can see that all my walls look nice. And it was pretty easy to do, so I just copied and pasted instead of going in there and scaling everything again. Okay. Now, some of these, you'll have some issues here with some of the doorways. You want to kind of keep the material to be the same throughout. So if that's how you want to work this, you can continue to do paste or Control V throughout the whole thing if you want to. So I'm going to click on this guy and do a Control V, and that will continue to paste it throughout the entire object. Okay, so you can see how aligning your walls and getting everything aligned and all the UVs aligned make it really easy to go into your rooms and start copying and pasting. Let's do a paste here too as well. There we go. Now it may not look so good here. So I may want to go in here and double click that and open that up and find a way to get that texture there So I'm going to go in here and see what I got here. There we go. That looks better. So I'm going to click off. Notice that it looks just a little bit better. And if it doesn't, and you want to keep going with it, let's see here. Let's go one at a time. There we go. That looks better. So you can see how that matches. There we go. It matches a little bit better. Okay. Alright, so again, that's how you can apply and scale. The same thing with the floor. You have to be very, very careful what kind of floor that you use. You want to basically stay consistent throughout your level. You don't want crazy changes throughout your level. You can have different rooms look differently, but basically you kind of want to keep them consistently the same color. You don't want to get crazy with changes. You could have the hallway like a cement color, but have it match, those colors. So have a color palette in mind as you're going through this and adding these materials. Okay, keep them consistent. That's really important. Okay, and it's very, very quick when you do Control paste, when you copy and paste, and that's about it. So I'm going to do the floor for the walls, do the floor, and then we'll do a ceiling, and I'll show you what I mean by keeping things consistent. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my content browser. There we go, and now we're going to do tile if we want to. That'll show the tile. And I'm going to do kind of a cement tile. We could do something a little more sci-fi. Let's do floor. I don't know if anything will show up here. And there we got like steel. So we could do a steel flooring or this kind of a flooring. That would work really well. So I'm going to go ahead and add this floor. Okay. And sometimes we gotta play it to get the right initial look. The scaling might be off, and I showed you how to change the scaling. So you could change the scaling in here. You can go into here and make it a little bit smaller. Right now it's set to 0.25, and that's way too big. So I'm going to go to 1 and 1 and apply. I might go to 2 and 2 and apply. That'll make the room look a little bit bigger. And depending on how your character looks in the scene, and you may want to change this later, I'll go to 1.5 and 1.5. Again, you have to select apply for it to go into effect. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Again, I might want to change the way things look here. Might have to have a transition piece, but I can click on this, Control C, which is copy, and Control V, so it goes through there. And I might want to have a different material, like a material like this, for that. So I'm going to go ahead and dump that in here. Again, I can double click on it, and I can move it over so it matches a little bit better. I can scale it. Let's do, so when I'm moving it over, a V scale. So we're going to do a V scale and make it 1, make it a little bit wider. Let's do 1 on both of those. Apply that. There we go. Let's make that 2. Should make this 0.5. A lot of this is experimentation to see which way it's going. There we go. So now I'm going to move, that's a little bit too big, of course. Let's do a 0.8 and a 0.8. There we go. And let's move it over until we get it just right. Kind of want it right in the middle. There we go, looks good. So it looks like it's a pathway. Okay, so we got that finished. There we go. So you can see how we're kind of slowly getting it to look decent. So I'm going to do a copy and a paste. So I'm going to click on that and Control C. Click on that, Control V. Click on this, Control C. Click on this, Control V. Alright, so you can see that it's matching really nicely. I like that, looks good. And it doesn't look like it picked up the scale on here, which is 0.8. Okay. This is 0.8. Let's apply that. There we go. I guess we just need to move it over. Okay, so let's go ahead and move it over. The middle. There we go. Okay, so it looks pretty good. Now let's concentrate on the ceiling. Again, we want to do something neutral. So you could probably type in walls again. Get kind of a material like a material that is just basic default cement. So I'm going to do that. That looks the best on ceilings. We could go a little bit darker. Let's go back to tile. Here's a darker color. It might be too dark. Again, we're going to try to keep the palette kind of the same. Don't really want a dark ceiling. Try this one. That's kind of more of a rocky look. Okay, let's go back to wall. Let's do this material here. It's kind of a red. Let's do this wall here. Okay, I think that'll be the best material, because I can try this one here. These are too warm. Kind of need a gray color. I think this might work the best. There we go. Okay. So there we go. So we got the ceiling. And when this room is lit properly, it will look a lot nicer. And I'm going to try to keep that the same now. We'll see what the scale is on that. It looks pretty good. I like that. We can make the scaling a little bit smaller, but I think that's pretty good. Click on that, Control C. Click on that, Control V. So now we've got basically one room done, 2 hallways finished, completely all the materials are added, and you can continue through. Okay. So some of the things I like to add in here to kind of make things a little more interesting and break things up a little bit, are there's some blood splatters, and I'm not sure if it'll come up this way. Let's see if it'll go. This material, blood splat. They're called decals. That's what you're looking for. There's some animated stuff in here. It's pretty interesting, but we've got like decals. They're kind of cool. So you're looking for blood decal. And what that does, which is pretty neat, you can go in here and add decals, and that will break up your floor, your walls, and stuff like that. Again, you don't want it all over the place, so I'm going to do dark. Kind of looks like stains. Whoops. That's not the right one. This one right here. So you can notice you can move it, and hit the space bar and you can scale it. Again, move it around, and you can do a couple in the corners. That's what I would do, kind of close to the walls. You can rotate them too. Okay. And of course, you can duplicate them. Hold the Alt key, and you can make them bigger again, so they're not exactly the same. And of course, rotate. So you can get a spot. It's just a little bit different, and it's pretty cool. It just breaks up your room a little bit more. And if you don't want to see the icons in here, then just hit G for game mode. Now we don't have any lights in here, so that's one of the things we're going to talk about in the next video. So I'm going to get that back to unlit. Alright, so let's turn enables game view off. So we're going to go ahead and save this. And save in a sequence, of course. And we'll talk about lighting in the next video. And I'll have all the texturing, or most of the texturing, done in the rooms. Right. I'll see you in the next video.